Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me here, and I hope everyone is having a great global hack week this week. It is great to see everyone back again. It's been a second since I've streamed, so I hope everyone has been doing well. So, before we begin the workshop, I have a few things to say and a few things to recommend here. If you haven't already, please go ahead and go to this link to sign in so you can check into this Global Hack Week and get your swag. Additionally, I want to apologize to everyone here. Sorry for starting the stream a tad late here. A few things came up in real life and I had to delay the stream a tiny bit. But without further ado, we can go ahead and begin. If you're in chat or here tuning in live to the stream, feel free to tell me where you're tuning in from. And if you have a favorite Global Hack Week stream so far, or you're looking forward to one, feel free to drop that in chat below too. So as y'all type in where you're tuning in from and your favorite Global Hack Week streams, I'll go ahead and begin. Again, if you haven't already, use that QR code right there on the right-hand side. That's how you can check in to get swag. I can see we have Amana in chat tuning in from India. Love to see it. We have Super Adil tuning in too. We have Ryan in the chat saying, "Good morning, everyone. Looking forward to the stream." I love that. Ryan saying hi to Ryan. I see Kayode tuning in from Nigeria. I see Rini Bob Eni tuning in from the United Arab Emirates. McGoblin tuning in from India. We have Pizza Fruit tuning in from Malaysia. We have Dead Rhino tuning in from India, and we have Hello Azir tuning in from India, and then I see USA Mabina Yub tuning in from Pakistan. Love to see it. Hello everyone, hope everyone's having a great evening, night, morning, whatever time it is for you. Hope you're having a great day. So let's go ahead and begin learning how to get good with Git. So this workshop, as a precursor, is a workshop for everybody. You could be a Git pro, you could be newish to Git, that is a-okay. There's no assumptions coming into this workshop. All you have to do is just try to stick with me. It's a lot of information, but if you can stick with me for 30 minutes, you should get everything at least somewhat sticking. So let's go ahead and begin. So for those who don't know me, again, I'm Ryan Lalu. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. I'm actually one of 3 Ryans at MLH, so you might know my twin Ryan Lay with the cowboy hat, as well as Ryan Swift, who is the big dog. And also, I like lettuce. There used to be a meme in Global Hack Weeks, but that's the reason why I have a lettuce right here. So if you ever are in the Global Hack Week chats, feel free to spam the chat with lettuce. So a few notes before we get started here. Again, thank you for attending. During this workshop, we'll first introduce GitHub, get access to the student developer pack, learn about version control systems, learn about Git, and then walk through how to use Git and GitHub. So let's first explore how to use Git and GitHub. So who here in chat, actually, before I show Git versus GitHub, who knows the difference between Git and GitHub? Anyone want to try it out? I also see Sean is on fire from the Philippines. I hope everything's okay there. I heard there was an earthquake. Hopefully it's not too rocky there. Hopefully everything's okay. So while y'all type in chat, I think there's a little bit of a stream delay, so I'll go ahead and spoil the answer. But GitHub is a cloud platform for code collaboration. While, I see someone in chat saying it. We have a lot of answers. We have Pizzo saying Git is a version control system. GitHub is the online code collaboration platform for Git. Agreed. Ruby saying Git is a version control software. GitHub is the website owned by Microsoft to host Git repos. That's also correct. Nick Nas saying version control versus open source code sharing / storage platform. That's true. And then Ryan in chat saying Git is a version control system and GitHub is the platform for repos. And lastly, Vern saying Git is installed on PC, which is used to track changes, and GitHub is software used to make contributions. Yeah, so y'all are mostly all correct here. I'm glad everyone knows a little bit about the differences between GitHub and Git. So to just tie everything together, GitHub is the code platform for code collaboration, while Git is the version control system. So in other words, Git will track your changes to code, while Git tracks the changes to code, while Git will just store it, if that makes sense. Sorry, GitHub will store it. Kind of tripping over my words here. So fun fact, GitHub uses VCS, or Git as the VCS beneath the hood. It provides many hosting and sharing tools, and it can be accessed anywhere online. If you want to think about it a little bit easier, think of Git as Google Docs history feature, while GitHub is Google Drive. Or for those that are Microsoft fans, think of Git as Outlook's history feature, Word's history feature when you host it online in the cloud. And then think of GitHub as, I think it's called, oh my god, I forgot the name. What's Microsoft's cloud name? Is it OneCloud? It might be OneCloud. Yeah, so it's going to be Microsoft's equivalent essentially. OneDrive, you are awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know why I forgot about OneDrive. All right, let's go ahead and continue. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot here. So if you want some incredible resources to recap or to follow along with, feel free to use this GitHub cheat sheet or their training manual at mlh.link/gittrained. Or if you want GitHub Education's official cheat sheet for Git commands, you can go to mlh.link/git. These two are amazing resources. I recommend you at least use this Git cheat sheet. It is amazing. I used it when I was a student back in the day. It is extremely helpful. So let's go ahead and continue here. So why should we use GitHub? And what are the benefits of using GitHub over Git locally or other platforms? Well, quite simply put here, GitHub has a lot to offer. You can see there's anything from GitHub Copilot to GitHub projects to issues to teams to workflow visualizations, webhooks, GitHub API, wikis, milestones, GitHub skills. Oh my gosh, there is so much to do. I also see one in chat asking for the link, so I'll go ahead and drop those. We have mlh.link/gittrained, and then we have mlh.link/git. They didn't enter with the new line, so those links are combined together. You'll have to separate the trained and MLH in that link. All right. So going here again, or saying it again, GitHub has a lot to offer here. So if you want to get access to some of these cool features, some of them are paid, some are premium, the GitHub Student Developer Pack is the tool for you. Speaking from experience here, I've been using the pack since I think 2014, 2013, and it lasted me through like the end of my elementary school days, middle school, high school, college. I've been using it for so freaking long. It is so worth it. Some things, just briefly highlighting some of the perks here. In terms of what you can get GitHub-wise, you get access to GitHub Copilot Pro, which is your advanced AI-powered coding companion. This is amazing. Get it, use it, it is awesome. You also have GitHub Experiences if you want to learn and get certified about different techniques, ways, features like, workflows, CI/CD, stuff like that. GitHub Experiences is a great way to learn about that. GitHub Codespaces is a free way to learn, host, and basically develop on the cloud. And then GitHub Campus Experts is the way to get in touch with your local community leader. So in terms of GitHub related perks with the student pack, this is a lot already. But if you want more, you can get stuff like the JetBrains suite for free. So if you like to code with Java or Python, they have PyCharms and IntelliJ IDEA. There's so many things to use there. So would highly recommend going to mlh.link/github over here and getting access. So let's do a quick intro, or not quick. It's going to take a little bit of time here, but let's learn a little bit about version control systems. Okay, so we're going to break down this image here. It's kind of confusing at first, but we'll go through it. So what is a version control system? Version control enables multiple people to simultaneously work on a single project, right? Now, how does Git achieve this? So let's start with some building blocks here. in Git, everyone gets their own working copy. You can think of it as a snapshot, and a repository, which will hold a bunch of snapshots, right? So you have your working copy, and you have your local repository, and your repository, think of it as a actual repository that holds multiple things. And in this case, the thing is the snapshot. So as you continuously make changes, you add your revisions to the staging area over here, right? So this command is called git add. We'll talk about staging area in a second. After committing, others have no access until you push your changes to the remote repository. So you have to first git commit, right, to stage your changes, and then you need to push it to the local. Think of this as GitHub. So remote repository could be GitHub in this case. Again, we'll cover and go back and talk about it in a second. So when you try to fetch changes, you first have to fetch them to your local repository, fix any conflicts if there are any, and then merge them into your working directory here. So the two commands is git fetch and git merge, but if you want to combine that into one command, it's called git pull. That's why you'll see people just say git pull. You won't see people talk about git fetch and git merge anymore because they're combined into git pull. So by design, these intermediary areas allow us to work out any problems before affecting our working directory. So that's a lot, right? Let's cover it again, but more, I guess, in a easier way. So think of your working directory as what you have in your VS Code, right? Think of your staging area as when you click the plus button to add all of your like unchanged or changed files, that plus button is called git add. Now, when you git commit here, it's in VS Code. When you add a message to the top there and you click commit, that's git committing. And then git pushing is whenever you click the sync button or like the loading arrow button, and that will push it and sync it with the remote. And in this case, remote is GitHub. So another way to kind of think about it less in that sense is your working directory again is where you're making your changes. It is a snapshot of your code. Your staging area is an intermediary area where you can work out your changes so you don't destroy your repository. The idea here is that you don't want to disrupt your working directory and you don't want to disrupt your repository. So this is an area where you can fix everything, figure out which changes you want to keep, which one you don't want to keep, and then you can merge and continue on from there. So that's the point of a staging area. Your local repository is there if you have multiple branches. So let's say you have a master branch or main branch and you have a feature, like multiple feature branches. Your local repository is a copy of the remote repository, but it has the branches you want to store on your local computer. So underneath the hood here, the way it works is GitHub has a hidden .git folder, not GitHub, sorry. Git has a hidden .git folder whenever you initialize a repository with Git. And that is what we call the local repository. That is what controls and stores all of the different branches that you clone or that you check out from the remote repository. So that's the purpose of a local repo. It's basically a hidden .git file in your project. So fun fact, if you do ls-a in your console, you'll see that hidden .git folder. So that is the local repo. All right, and let's talk about installing Git here. So unfortunately, we don't have enough time to go through the full workshop here, but I'll basically try to go over it as if we are doing the full workshop and collaborating here in chat. So the first thing that you want to do if you want to learn the differences between Git and GitHub is you'll want to first navigate to mlh.link/getgit. This is a short URL to essentially get you to the Git page to download and install Git. The reason why we have a link here is because sometimes it's a little bit hard to find the resources you need, and sometimes downloading is a little bit dangerous. So we have a link that I'll curate a link that will get you straight there. So I will type it in chat if you want to use it. And you will want to follow the Git download instructions for your OS. So on Windows greater than 2018, fun fact, you can actually use this winget command to install everything. So it's winget install id git.git -e -source and then winget. If you're on Mac OS, the command is a lot simpler here with homebrew. You can just do brew install git. It's really, really nice. If not, that is a-okay, because that mlh.link/get git command can send you to the download page. And to understand where you can access Git, because it's kind of hard to know once you install it, how do I use it, right? In Windows, any terminal should work. However, there is a special terminal called Git Bash. So when you search in your search bar on the very bottom center, you can type in terminal, and it should give you an application that lets you pick the terminal you want. In there, you can select Git Bash. However, if you're on a Mac OS or any Unix environment, you can use the built-in terminal, shell, whatever you like, and you can straight up just type it in there. It should be already there. That's the lovely perk of using a Unix environment. And then if you want to verify your installation, you can type in git version into your CLI, and you can check to see if you have it. If you have it, it's going to give you a version number. If it doesn't have it, then you don't have it installed yet. So I'll give everyone here a second to just type in these commands if you haven't already. There's a lot of Windows users, so this command is kind of long. I'll go ahead and type it in chat for everyone here. All right, I'm gonna change the music to something a little bit more upbeat here. What's a fun song? Let's see. Ooh. Awesome. I see some people in chat saying they already have it installed. All right, no worries. I see a quick question. Can we explain the staging area again? Yeah, no worries. Let's go ahead and talk about that again. So the staging area here, the entire purpose of it is to act as an intermediary for two reasons, right? The first reason is, let's say you have a bunch of file changes and you only want to commit certain files. What you can do is you can just git add the specific files you want to commit, and then you can commit them. That way you don't have to commit every file you've changed. So that's one perk of the staging area. The second perk of the staging area is that you're able to, whenever you have a merge conflict, you're able to handle it in that staging area. So whenever, if you're in VS Code, you have a merge conflict, inside of VS Code, it's going to give you like an indicator to tell you what files need to be fixed, because they have merge conflicts that couldn't be auto-resolved. And there you can fix it. And that area is called a staging area. It's not as much of a physical area as it is this kind of like a ephemeral space, or in simpler words, it's like it's kind of hard to explain actually, because remote repo is GitHub, local repo is going to be a .git folder, your working directory are the files, your staging area more so is like a state, if that makes sense. But it's also part of your working directory. It's kind of ephemeral here, but the separation there helps us describe the differences between adding something and committing it, as well as the stage where you can merge your changes. Hope that makes a little bit more sense. It's a little complicated, but think of it as in terms of commands here. Git add will add it to the staging area, and when you git merge, you have to go through the staging area. Awesome. Let's go ahead and continue. So now that everyone here has Git installed, let's talk a little bit about authenticating with GitHub. So this is an issue that you will normally have or run into later in the workshop if you don't do it, and you'll actually run into this you'll run into this always, essentially is what I'm saying. So we're going to talk about getting the GitHub CLI. It is a great tool because it will help you either now or sometime in the future. So we're gonna actually flip the page here. We're gonna start with number 2 first, and then number 1. So I recommend everyone here download the Git CLI, and the commands are winget install with the ID flag github.cli. If you're on Mac OS, you can just type in brew install gh. Once you install the GitHub CLI, you can just type in gh auth login into your terminal and follow the instructions there. It's going to be something like typing in your username, clicking enter a few times, saying that you want to authenticate, copying a quick 9-character string, clicking enter again, going to GitHub, pasting it, coming back. It's a little bit of a process, but I recommend everyone just get the GitHub CLI. It's going to save your time either now or in the future, and you'll be really thankful that you did it. All right, and while y'all are doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the workshop. Again, we're not going to be going through the full workshop this stream because we don't have too much time, but if you want to run this workshop in the end with a friend, either from Global Hack Week or IRL, you can type in git clone and this link, which is just github.com/mlh/intro-2-git. And then git clone creates a complete repository of an existing remote repository. In this case, again, remote is GitHub, and GitHub is this link. It's creating a complete copy. Think of it like that. That's what cloning is. Cloning is getting a complete copy of something. And then note, the only purpose of this repository is to check if GitHub is authenticated. You can delete it afterwards. But if you can clone it, then it works. If you can't clone it, then it doesn't work. Then you'll need to authenticate your GitHub. So checking chat real quick, we have Varun asking, is it a part of setting up the Git into the PC? So this step 1A is yes, but step 1B is getting the GitHub CLI. First we were installing Git, now we're installing GitHub CLI. And then Abu is asking, so directory is where we make changes and staging is the area place where we select what. Yeah, exactly it. Yeah, it's basically an area for you to decide what you want to commit. So you're spot on. Well done. Good job. And then we have Varun asking for the repo link. No problem. I'll type it here in chat. All right, I have Samanrid saying, I have a question about authentication. Is there any way that we can push some code into a branch or stage, or stage it while in a guest machine where I don't want to authenticate my account? Can we use personal access tokens or any sort of API key type things? So, I see your concern. I would say if you're on a guest machine for a short period of time, it might be worth working in a code space. Purely if you're concerned with security here, the safest way would be to open incognito window and just load in a code space. So if you'll remember, you get code spaces free with the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So I'd recommend that. But to answer your question more directly, you could use personal access tokens, but you would be adding, in the end, you're kind of getting the same risk here. Using the GitHub CLI is kind of the same. I think you can remove your authentication with GitHub. Let me check on my own terminal real quick. Let me check here. I think I want to say you can. It's GH space auth. Yeah, you can. So you can type in GH space auth space log out, and that's how, if you use the CLI, you can unauthenticate and remove it. So I see someone XOX asking why the command is not found. So again, to get the GitHub CLI to work here, you have to first install it. So if you're on Windows, this is winget command. If you're on Mac OS, it's going to be this brew install command. That's how you have to do those steps before it works. Now, if you did that and it's still not working, then you have to restart your terminal. So close out all the terminals and then reopen it again. I see a question saying, is the GitHub CLI new? I don't remember using it in the past. It depends on what you define as new. GitHub CLI has been around for, gosh, at least I think 8 years now. I used it way back in the day. But it is I think in the long history of the 20 years of Git, it is pretty new. Yeah, so you can use SSH keys. You could also use GitHub CLI. You can use a lot of things. Yeah. And then someone's asking, is there any default or auto-generated commit message for git commit-m command? So direct answer is no, but the longer answer is technically yes. You can install GitHub Copilot, and actually no, VS Code in the IDE, there is now a sparkle button where if you're logged into GitHub, you can auto-generate a commit message name. So in terms of CLI usage, you could actually use the GitHub CLI, the Copilot command line tool too, technically. But the more direct answer is no, the longer answer is yes with the new AI tools. It is installed. Ooh, that is interesting. I would recommend closing all of your terminals first and trying after that. And I see Simon Red saying, thank you, I faced this issue a few days ago. I will definitely try it. I'm glad to hear. Hopefully everything works. And then I may clone it in VS Code. I see someone is sleeping here, so no worries. I'll change the music so we can get some more upbeat action. All right, let's do some violins. Yeah, no problem. To interact with, or I think it might be a terminal too. It's a terminal where you can use Git commands. The Git, maybe you're confusing Git and GitHub CLI. The GitHub CLI is to connect with GitHub. Awesome. Hopefully everyone is okay to move on. Let's go ahead and move on. Actually, this music doesn't fit the theme. Let's change the music again. What's an upbeat song we can do? Sure, let's do this. All right, so the next step, if we were to walk through this all together here, is to create a local Git repository. So the commands you want to run is make dir my first repo. Then you want to navigate to the repo by cding or changing directory into my first repo, and then initializing the directory with git. So you can use git init. Next, you'll want to add files and make a commit here. So you can create a file in your repository by using the keybind. This is too loud. No. Okay, this is much more manageable. So you can type in Control-N or Command-N, and that will create a new file. And you can add some text to the file and save it. Or if you're super fancy in advance, you can use the CLI and type in, oops, give me 1 second. Type in echo, and then with some quotes, hashtag space my first repo, and then use this greater than symbol, and then readme.md. What that does is it's going to create a new file called readme.md, and it's going to pipe in this text, which is just marked down for the title being my first repository, into that file. A lot of words there to say this creates a file with text. The next thing to do is to add the files and make a commit. So if y'all remember here, when we have our staging area, and we have our local repository and working directory. Now let's identify all three of those parts in our VS Code. So we can see here, when we click this add button here, it stages changes. If y'all recall correctly, that's the staging area. We also have our working directory, which is where we have all of our files. And then we have our local repository, which is, it's not pictured here, but there is a branch button. That's how we interact with the local repository. And to answer the question earlier in chat, asking if there's an auto way to generate, if you see this symbol right here, wait, y'all can't see it. The symbol right here, this is how you auto generate. So again, staging your entire VS Code instance at the time is going to be your local, your working copy. And then your local repository is going to be, there's a button down here that shows you your branch. But if you were to click this branch button, I think somewhere in here, that's how you can change your branches. So a lot of words to say, if you want to add files to your staging area and stage your changes, you click the source control button, and then you click the plus. That's if you're on VS Code. If you're fancy and you like commands, it's just git add and readme.md, If you want to add all of your files, you can type in git add, then a dot. So git add dot. I see someone asking, I use git commands often, but have to keep a cheat sheet because I forget them, LOL. You know, that is completely fair. It is kind of hard to find commands nowadays, even when we have LLM tools to help us generate them. If you go to an MLH partnered event or hackathon, you can actually get access to free GitHub cheat sheets. It's like a square sticker with some common Git commands. It's pretty neat. So if you go to events, you can get those. All right, let's go ahead and continue here. So now that we have add and staged our changes, we can now commit them. So on VS Code, if you click the checkmark commit button, that will commit your changes, where you can add a message, or you have to add a message here. If you're fancy, you can use the CLI and type in the command git commit -m for message, and then in double quotes, initial commit. All right, now for the harder part. So the harder part here is connecting to GitHub. So if you navigate back to github.com and you click the new repository button on the left sidebar, you can set your repo name and add an optional description, and then click create repository. During this workshop, you'll want to keep the repo public, and you will not want to select any of the following. Don't create any files by adding a .gitignore or a license, and then don't add a readme to the repository. And in typical projects, you will want to click and select all three of these, but for the purposes of this workshop only, the idea here is you'll want it to be as accessible and as decluttered as possible to share with somebody else. That's the reason why I recommend not to have any of those. That's a question in chat here. Do we have to complete all the challenges or just the start ones to get swags? I am not entirely sure, but I'm sure there's an FAQ somewhere at ghw.mlh.io. I recommend going there to check it out. So once you've created your repository on GitHub, you can then use this link here. It's going to follow the format of your username and then your repo name. You can copy the HTTPS or the SSH URL, and then you can add your remote repository as an origin. So git remote add origin. This is the name of what we're calling this repository. And it's going to be github.com/your owner. So owner's your name /repository. This is the name of your repository. .git. I see a question in chat. Can you explain what those mean? Yes, no problem. Are you referring to the settings over here? If you are, the answer is a README file is a quick description about your repository. It's a where you can write in Markdown about your repository. So think of it as when you go to github.com and you see like a really cool like text description below all the files in GitHub. That's called a README file. A .gitignore file is a way, it's a file, setting file that will tell Git to ignore certain files or certain folders. That way you don't commit them. So a good example of use, or a good reason of why to use this is when you have environment variables or secrets, you store those in what we call environment files or .env files. You do not want to commit those ever, never, ever, ever, never. So the way to prevent that from happening is to use a .gitignore template, file. And luckily, when you create a repository, you can select through some pre-curated templates by GitHub. So if you click the drop down, you can select Node for React, anything TypeScript, what else? Next.js, whatever you like to use. If you're using Python, you can select the Python template. If you're doing a Ruby on Rails project, you can select Ruby, etc., etc., etc. And then a license is to describe what open source license you want to, what license you want to include to your project. This is basically how you dictate how you want your code shared or not shared. I hope that answers those questions here. So now that everyone has a repository and a URL they can use to add as a remote repository, again, git remote add origin and the URL, owner and repository being your name and the repository name, you can then connect it to GitHub here. So saying that on the bottom left corner, if y'all remember what I was talking about, where I say this is how you can change your branches. If you click on this where it says master or main, again, I will use those interchangeably. I may say master, I may say main. No, they refer to the same thing. In GitHub, you will only have one of those. Yeah, so main is interchangeable with master here. Oh. So what you can do is you can click on it and you can select it to be whatever branch you like. If you're on CLI, you can do git branch -M and then main. So again, VS Code, this is what it looks like. And then if you are clicking this button, after that, you'll have this pop-up on the very top of your screen asking you if you want to create a branch, check out a branch, or etc. Create a new one, select one. Kind of just yapping a lot here to say that's where you can select and create a branch. Also note that the cloud means origin. If it says that if it shows it without a cloud, that means it's on your local copy. It's in your local repository. Anything in the cloud is your remote repository. So kind of flashing back here, that's the difference between local and remote. The idea here is like let's say you have a main branch, right? Your main branch may have some updates, but your local repository main branch may not have the updates. So those two different copies of it is the difference between remote and local, and the reason why we separate them, because we want to choose when we want to pull in those changes into our local. So gonna have to speed through here since we only have 8 minutes left. So if you want to push all your changes here, you can click in VS Code, the sync button. This is the loading icon I was talking about. Sync your changes, or if you want to use the CLI, you can type in git push -u, which stands for set upstream origin, and then setting it as main, or saying that main branch. So git push -u origin main. And then if you're getting an authentication error, check 1B again. That's the GitHub CLI setup. So let's talk about effectively branching here. So for those who don't know about branching, this is the section for you. We're going to speed run it in 5 minutes. So branching is a foundational concept you will need to understand. It is so important. The main version of your project is housed in the main branch. Think of it, again, it can be interchanged with master. So in here we have a script, JavaScript file, and it's having a file that creates a pyramid. A script that creates a pyramid, and then it's stored on our main branch. Let's say that while we're working on a team, let me go again. So when experimenting or working on a team, it is often useful to branch out from the main branch. These branches are colloquially known as feature branches. Think of it as if you add a feature to a project, you want to make a new branch for that. That way you don't disrupt the main branch. As you make changes to project files, changes should be committed to the feature branch. You want to work on this copy. So this is your working directory. This is going to be in your remote repository or in your local, but it's not your working copy. So here we can see here that we abstract the symbol into a variable so we can change it easily. So when your feature is ready to be merged with your main branch, you may open what we call a pull request or a PR. A PR doesn't need to be perfect. It's meant to be a starting point that will further be refined and polished through code reviews and project team members. So you can see here, whenever we create a PR inside of GitHub, we can see someone said in a code review to rename the sim variable into a C variable for character. So once we've made the changes, they can approve the PR, and then the feature branch is merged into the main branch. So now we can see that our main branch version is correct. So now that you understand branching, let's go ahead and resume here. This is when we collaborate. We don't have time to collaborate, unfortunately. So if you want these slides to collaborate with a friend at home or a friend during Global Hack Week, at the very end of the stream, I'll have the event link again. Sign in, because after you sign in, you'll get access to the resources once the workshop ends. So eventually what you'll end up having once you go through this is you'll have what we call a merge conflict. So let's talk about merge conflicts real quickly. So normally the VCS merges non-conflicting changes, which means that our version control system, or Git, or our IDE will do its best to try to merge all of our code together. However, conflicts may still occur when at least one other user made a change that is different from your changes to the same lines on a file. So let's do an example here. So let's do an example with two branches, main and change fruit. We will start with a list of Jay's 3 favorite fruit. So Jay likes mango, apple, and banana. You can see here it's stored in a README file. Think of it as just a fancy way to store text. And he has a title here on the very top. So line 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll also have a branch called change fruit. So what's it called? Jay continues to work on his file and makes changes in his working directory. While Jay works, his friend Lisa wants to make an update to the list with her fruit suggestions. So you can see it over here. So Lisa likes pineapple, oranges, and bananas. However, Lisa branched from the main branch before Jay committed and pushed his changes. So we can see that the original copy was mango, apple, banana, and it had Jay's name. But Lisa made a copy with her name, and then she likes pineapple, oranges, and bananas. So at the same time, Jay is making his own changes. He changed his mind. Turns out he doesn't like mangoes as much as he likes watermelon. So now that Jay has pushed his code and Lisa has pushed her code, what happens? That's the question. So in other words, Lisa finishes her changes and opens up a PR. After reviewing her code, Jay merges Lisa's branch into Lisa's PR into main. What will happen when Jay attempts to pull changes from main? We have a conflict. That is because the first line has changed, so Lisa changed it, then Jay changed it, which means we don't know which version to use. There's no way to definitively fix the conflict. We can see in line 2 here, watermelon, again, same thing. We've changed the name. There's going to be a conflict because we don't know which version to use. Line 3, line 3, it's going to change automatically with Lisa's changes because it was never edited in Jay's version. And then line 4, where it says banana, that's not going to change either because Lisa never changed that. So we can see here we have 2 conflicts on the top. So in VS Code, if you were to open it up, this is what it would look like. You would have like these text things saying, this is your head, this is the change, the incoming change. You can accept the current change, the incoming change, or both, or compare them. So saying all of that, the end of the workshop here would kind of just talk about how to go through all of that. But in the end, that is all we have time for today. Sorry again for starting the stream late, guys. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. If you want to leave me some feedback, feel free to drop some here. Besides that, I'm going to answer some questions in chat, and then we'll wrap everything up here. So I see in chat we have some talk about, what's it called? Extra point better than more swags. Agreed. Getting more points, you can get more swag with them. What if the push to main branch had errors and no one caught them? So errors in terms of compilation steps, that's more of a coding issue, less than a Git issue. Also, can you explain which should be used more if it's just preference, main, or master? So the reason why we've deviated from the term master is because it has some historically racist ties. To kind of get away from there, the community as a whole has moved to talking about it as a main branch versus a master branch. Does that make sense? That's the reason why. Ryan in chat saying there's 3 short paragraphs here detailing exactly how to earn swag. Awesome, thank you. Quick question in chat. So editing main code is bad, prone to screw ups. Branch is a safe version of So editing main code is bad. Yes, agreed. Don't edit your main branch. You'll want to use branches. And a branch is a safe version of the code to edit. It's like a snapshot in a way, if that makes sense. It is a safe version. A code review is for the whole team to see the spaghetti code. Should be included or not into the main code. Kinda. Sometimes it's whole team. Sometimes it's certain people, like 2 or 3 people. But it's a way to review it. Yes. I see someone asking, are there any t-shirts as swags or only stickers? I'm not entirely sure, but maybe if you ask in Discord, they can answer you too. I see someone asking, issue section is for that reason. Yes, if you have issues for code-related issues, that's where that's the section in GitHub to use. And then, can you please pardon the CLI commands for resolving the merge conflicts? I don't know what you mean by pardon the CLI commands. But if you want the commands from the workshop, if you sign in using this link all the way up here, That's how you can sign and get points. And if you sign into the workshop, you can get the slides after it. And I see, I'm going to type it in chat one more time here for everyone to see, events.mlh.io/events/13066. There you go. I see Abu saying you love the session. I'm glad to hear. Hopefully it was educational. I see Vibab saying, what is the best practice for updating our code after submitting a PR? I messed up my code base while updating. So that is a-okay, because if you create a PR, you're able to still make changes and push them to your branch, and it should automatically update on that PR. Can I get a link to your playlist of sounds? Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure what the names are. What you can do is if you have the Shazam app, or if you have the Google app, you can have it listen into the song, and it can tell you what the name of the song is. And I see one last question. How do I check my points? I completed 22 challenges. Oh my gosh. First off, congrats. That's a lot of challenges. Next, I think you can view it at ghw.mlh.io. I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe. If not, you can ask in chat, and someone should have an answer for you. So, anywho, that's all the time I have. That's all the time I have for today. I hope everyone enjoyed the workshop. Sorry for speedrunning through it. I hope you've enjoyed it. But if you haven't already, tune in right after the stream in about 20 seconds from now for Today in Global Hack Week, Day 2 with Quinn. He'll be going over everything that has happened so far yesterday, as well as everything we have for today. So besides that, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed it, and have a great day. Thank you all.